Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Half the Race Gone. We are here with the preview event for second season of the Nukeshot Endurance Series. My name is Durden DK.
And I'm Trail66. I'm very happy to be here with you and looking forward to trying out a new format of doing some race coverage of the races we'll be GT.
Exactly, so hopefully we'll be able to bring you some coverage of the races that had happened during the week, the following week, obviously. So the new format for these races is that we have a multi-class racing system, which consists of two classes: the Pro class, who are racing the GT3 class cars that we are watching right now, and then the Amateur class, or the AM class, as we prefer to call it, not to be too degrading towards anyone.
Yeah, it's not necessarily based on skill level in the individual races, but we've tried to put in a good split on the races, but it's definitely not an amateur class at all.
But that was just to give our viewers a bit of insight into the changes that have been made since season 3. Which contained two shorter races for one night, making each stop, so to say, of the season on each track just to be for a single weekend. Now we got to enjoy every track twice, and we get to do all the testing, we get to do all the preparations for each race and each class fully during the week, which I personally can say I think it's very nice.
I agree a lot. I think it's gonna make it much more feasible to run both classes and actually put in a good level of commitment to both classes. I think what we saw last season was, after the first few races, everyone that had a decent position in either class tried to focus, other than a certain someone that just pretty much won everything he did.
Yeah.
Shall not be named.
So Trials, who would be your ones to watch in the AM class, the LMP class for the race we're watching right now?
Well, in the AM class, I'd say Nilsson, were the one to watch we're watching at the moment, is a very interesting prospect. He's recently returned to NES racing, having not done much of season 3. I believe he was there for the Le Mans race, and that was about it. But a very interesting prospect and on a nice team and an interesting car. That being said, we have Gugas, who's the season 2 champion.
Yeah.
In LMP, so he's obviously always going to be one to watch. And I think the Toyota actually is a very interesting car across the series. It's a nice all-rounder.
I tend to agree with you on that one, and I also think, of course, Off Apple will be one to watch. And now we are watching the actual start go off here. As they cross the line, Nilsson is guiding them down. Off Apple in second. They're just he goes wide, and Nilsson goes wide. Oh,
does a full spin. I don't think anyone was expecting that kind of start right here from the get-go.
No, Nilsson has completely blown it.
It took a bit of a while to get that car sorted again.
Yeah, he has.
Look at the size of the gap. I believe it's time actually to go down. Look, we have a bit more to cover. What's going on at the front here?
Here, Gugas gets
a small spin.
He gets a little bit wide out of the turn there. As we are watching the GT3 cars coming around and the Pro class we haven't even covered yet, this is where the stuff gets serious. Joe of the Fire, Vert CJ, Tetsu Kobura, Trial 666, and lining off the back is good old Slow Durden. And Joe, as we expected, just came through absolutely cleanly.
Perfectly clean start. I get a really nice start as well and pick up one position to get to second, get close. CJ has a small rear slip in the first corner, so he has a bit of a gap now to make up.
Yeah, and I actually remember this from the race quite well. We had a really interesting three-way battle here, quite close racing. I had to back off for a while because there just wasn't really any room to go anywhere, as you will see right here.
So you see CJ starting to pick up the pace again. He's going to be pretty fast, I expect. He did a very nice qualifying stint.
But as we know, CJ is a really fast driver.
Oh, you see a huge mistake from me. I have a big rear slip. I lose a lot of time here. You can see the gap is closing out to CJ, and it's going to become a bit of a spaced out three-way battle for the lead in the pro class. Checking out what's going on with Nilsson at the spin. He's trying to grind it down. Looking very good through there.
One thing I have to say about the Mazda, the LM55 Vision GT as it's called, it does sound the part. The rotary engine
sounds the part, yeah, for sure.
The rotary engine.
Rotary engines and all that.
Please. So Guga's leading him off. Guga's leading him off in the aim class, and
looking to be a very tight but pretty patient amount of pressure. Oh, he goes off! How did he not hit Apple worse than he did?
That
was crazy.
That looked absolutely crazy. Looked like the torque vectoring system of that car really came to a lot of work all of a sudden, and now Ninja Karma is putting on the pressure onto off Apple. And the Mazda, which has looked like it is the fastest car on the Alsace circuit, is absolutely putting on the pressure. The Porsche 919 of off Apple is really working hard. You can see
he backed off through there. He could have made a pass. He's looking very, very fast under braking and through the slower corners. You can definitely see that the Mazda is a very well balanced car. What it might lack in a bit of top speed, it certainly makes up for in balance and angle.
Yeah, he doesn't look under pressure at all, Karma, while putting off Apple under maximum pressure, just following him nicely around, really.
So far, keeping perfectly cooled on, keeping very nice lines, good amount of speed.
But one guy I would actually expect to be able to pull off a win like this would be exactly off Apple. He's done many of these races just keeping it cool under pressure, doing what he knows. He is an experienced fella in this NES regime, founder of the series here, Nukeshot Motorsports.
Very, very consistent, always very clean. I don't expect him to necessarily make any mistakes on his own, that's for sure. You see he's building up a slight gap at the moment. Just getting off a bit of that pressure he was under from before. Of course, he's probably still feeling a bit.
And just to mention Alsace, very technical circuit.
Oh, would you look at that? Nilsson is actually closing up very fast. He can see the others now.
And last time we had a look at Nilsson, he must have been, what, 20? Not 20, but I was about to say 10, 12 seconds behind. Take a look at the gap. It's not even there to see.
Take a look at the gap, so we're not even going to waste time with this info. What a great set of laps he must have had to make up this gap so quickly. That's a great amount of time.
Yeah, Nilsson is
impressive stuff.
Absolutely flying right now. And this takes something on a personal level. It takes a lot of character to be able not to get dragged down by having an early accident like he did in turn 1, blowing his lead.
For sure. Getting into a proper rhythm when he's on his own and he's watching that gap to the front cars. It's gonna be a bit of a long stint for him here. In the front, not much surprise. Joe is staying cleanly on the front, had a very nice start without much hassle. I made a mistake and suddenly he had a gap. It seems not much has changed at the moment. We have the same front situation we had before. Only the same gap, to be honest, as well. Bit more of a gap to Joe. He seems to be pulling out a bit.
And in the rear, there's a Tetsu Durden battle, and I think also Tetsu here is just slowly creeping away. So not too much to see down here either. However, the battle for what's effectively P2 in the GT class right now between, or actually it is the battle for first still, because Tals is you are by no means out of the question yet.
No, definitely not at this point. It's an interesting prospect for when the season gets going in earnest, because normally at this point he'd probably already have built up more of a gap. And I think both me and CJ have had some big blunders, whereas Joe, being Mr. Consistent, hasn't had not too many issues at this point. So it's looking like it might be a bit of a closer situation this season.
At least it looks like the Mazda La Vista team has some work to do on the car. If Joe is to hit his level of dominance, or the level, because we have seen him before, or last season when he was in the Corvette, it was practically only Stevie who could, and Stevie, who is not racing here today, sadly, but he was the only one who could really do anything about Joe. As soon as he came to the series, it was it was quite obvious that we had to do with someone who was.
Yeah, the situation
gifted.
was that I think that all of the top guys experienced this, that he could do times on hards that we couldn't do on mediums. So we were forced to try to do triple stints where he would only do double stints.
Yes.
That's not going to work out unless you're very fast.
Exactly. And what's happened in the meanwhile, while we've been talking, looking at the GT guys, Nilse has caught, and now it's a three-way battle for the lead in the LMP class right now.
And having made out the spot, he's now in the lead, trying to pull out a bit of a gap. Off Apple having to go a bit defensive here, so he's going to lose a bit of time to lead it. Nelson has a good line here for an aggressive dive. Is he going to do it? No, he's being patient.
This is edge of the seat stuff from Nilseman and Off Apple. Apple taking the defensive line to the right, trying to cover the inside here, but Nilseman just went through. I think Apple had some damage. He went into the pits.
Just as we're going through traffic as well, so there's going to be a bit more of a split. I have to decide when to pass myself and CJ.
But that is a very open and nice place to pass on the circuit, and this left-hander is by no means sharp enough that you can't have 2 or even 3 lines through it for the different cars. So definitely one of the easiest places to get by traffic. Some of the later parts of the circuit are really technical, and even though the track is wide at the speeds you're traveling.
What happened to Apple? He seems to have a big gap now suddenly.
But he went into the pit lane.
Into the pit, yeah. Oh, sorry. In the front now we have the Team Mazda LMP car. Starting to look very, very superior. It's starting to remind me of the Porsches or the Toyotas of recent.
It is
fighting out against non-hybrids, but you have to note that these are non-hybrid cars.
These are just rotary-powered cars,
powered by the future stuff.
And with a very exceptional aerodynamic. I can imagine that the drag coefficient of these cars must be extremely low.
Yeah, and also the center of gravity is incredibly low. You can see even compared to other LMP cars, which are like ridiculous, they're almost knee level low. These cars are even lower. They will probably hit your toes before they hit any other part of your body if they were to stop.
True.
We've been very steady for the Masters here, just grinding it away.
Indeed.
And now it seems there's a bit of peace between the two. It's hard to tell because this being a preview race, there's not a set order necessarily. It's not necessary. I think we have a good chance of seeing the two Masters doing some proper racing against each other too. Although they might be clever and wait a bit.
It would make good sense just to be able to put in some space into Off Apple and Gugas. Make absolutely sure that their 1-2 is firm and secure before they start battling out for real. But Condor Racing...
And just as we say that, Nilseman is now in the lead.
I don't know how he was... It looked like he was on the outside. I don't know what happened exactly there.
He was on the grass as well, but apparently that's the way to go if you want to call it the master.
Coming through this banked right-hander, very difficult to hit the right apex because you have to hit very late apex to be able to go to slightly tightens at the end. It makes for a very technical corner coming into the hairpin here.
This is an interesting situation at the moment because now we've seen what Nilsman can do being behind Ninja, and now we're seeing what Ninja can do chasing Nilsman. It might be a bit of a sorting out of the pecking order.
Yeah, well...
So far it's looking very equal though. Not much of a gap increasing or decreasing.
I'm saying that it actually looks like Nilsman is just pulling out a little bit, and he's going into the pits. Does he have damage too?
Ninja stays out though.
Ninja stays out, but Ninja hasn't had any trouble yet, even with, at least not what we've seen.
Apple is still very close now. He's actually picked up quite a bit.
Apple has
You
picked
have to
up.
remember how short the pit lane is. Nilsman is already out and right behind Apple.
Yes, it is. It is a track where it makes very much sense.
Polyphony police fix.
It makes very much sense to do your pit stops if you need them, when you need them, because it does not take that much time.
You see Gugas dealing with a bit of traffic. Sorting out the color schemes between those two cars. It does sound nice, the terrible.
Not to mention the Ford GT.
And the timing of what's going on in the race is a bit hard at the moment. CJ has now passed me. I'm trying to remember what happened. I went into the grass, I went wide in one of the corners, and he just smoothly went by on the outside. Now I'm having to pick up quite a bit of a gap actually because it was a fast corner.
And the thing is that the Beetle is very strong on this circuit, on the technical circuit. It has very good cornering speeds. And being the very aggressive driver that he is usually, loves to give it full attack, to drive it on the absolute limit. And that makes for fast lap times here, if you can keep the car on the road.
Also interesting to see how quickly he made up a bit of the gap up to Joe as he got in the front and didn't have to wait for me and how gone he was.
Yeah, definitely. And I was actually expecting to see a little bit more pace from Joe when thinking about last season, which leads me to think that the Master La Vista team really has a lot of work to do.
And Gugas off just trying to pass me. He seemed to go a bit wide.
And he goes straight into that. There's this little piece of Armco barrier that just sticks out a little bit. It's not the most safe track design we've ever seen.
Definitely.
And
not.
it just stops him dead in its tracks, and
it takes quite a while to get out of it, as you can see. He's just now getting into the pits.
And the level of damage is huge. Here we have Gugas in the pits. Of course, fresh tires. See if he also gets some fuel.
Amazingly, now the car's fixed. And now the car's a ghost.
I'm not quite sure that he got all the damage fixed there. When you look at how that car is going, well, it could be that I'm wrong.
Let's find out.
Let's find out. It is.
It's fixed.
It's fixed. That was dream team mechanic job by the Martini engineers and
didn't even
pit
touch
crew.
the front of the car. I thought that would have been what got the damage, but no.
But this is the Hogwarts School of Mechanics, you know. You just look at it, and a very, very, very narrow pass.
Gugas did not have time to wait right there. He was just blasting along. He knows he has a lot of time to make up now. In front, Apple has passed Ninja car. You have to assume that Ninja has made a pit stop in the meantime because he was the last of the front LMP cars to stay out. In the front, CJ is now very close to Joe.
This has developed into an actual battle.
Very tasty in the next few laps. We'll have to keep an eye on what goes on here.
Oh, as CJ just goes a little bit wide.
At this point, the gap to me seems to be widening a little bit, and I'm struggling to make it up. You see down here, I'm just gonna show you this, how much the car drifts through here. Look, sliding. I'm out of the frame there. None of the other cars are, and I just couldn't stop that from happening. I tried braking so early.
I also had to brake early there. I can tell you, it's an absolute.
I don't like that corner.
I don't like that corner either. I don't think anybody likes that corner. It's a case of liking it more,
hating it less.
But hating it less, exactly. That was the words I was looking for.
For sure. can see the
And just
number 18 Master La Vista car of Mr. Durden DK.
one thing I would
Why
point
are you
out.
going so slow, Durden? You don't seem to be moving very fast.
No, I wasn't going very fast.
Oh, that's fine.
Sometimes I can't understand how Joe and I can be in the same car. I mean, he must have. Sometimes I'm thinking he must have like 30 extra horsepower or something. But it is pure skill, and just goes to show the difference in driver skill.
It was crazy impressive, but you gotta. I think you're being a bit too modest and not mentioning the fact that you literally bought the car a few hours before the race.
That's true. And not having practiced more
having
than
no experience, I think you're excused from not performing to the level of the alien that beat us in all the races I attended that Steve didn't.
Yeah, that's true. He does have a record of beating us at least, more or less every time out. And now off Apple, still in P2.
Nukeshot picked up a bit of the gap. I think we might have a bit of a battle here. I just want to check out real quick though what's going on. CJ has dropped a little bit now.
It might have
I don't want to
something.
rule out the fact that he's made a pass attempt already at this point. I know this is going to be a good battle to watch.
Certainly is.
But at the moment, not much is developing. I'm maintaining the same gap I had. So it's Tetsu at the moment. And look at Durden.
Look at that. This is the one big problem I had during the race. Otherwise, things actually went pretty smooth, but this wasn't smooth at all. Just going in. Big engine damage.
Are you sure that you have the same amount of decals on the right side as the left? Because those really are, check this out, quite a lot of decals. That's a lot of that's a lot of decals. I'm not sure. Did you count them?
Maybe
The
Joe
car
did.
definitely didn't look like it was perfectly balanced.
Maybe Joe did. I don't. Oh, so you mean the weight of decals might have
Yeah, if you had like
offset
19 on one side
and 25 on the other,
Exactly,
that might
yeah.
offset
like
the balance of
different
the car.
sizes, and I don't know which colors are the heaviest. There's a lot of variables.
Maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's why Joe's so much faster than me.
I'm taking a sip of my coffee, and Nukeshot's taking a pass on Apple.
He's taking a sip of.
pass.
Ooh, that was very close to being contact.
Not a
But
taking a pass on Apple. I don't want that. Hard pass.
and
And it
while
was
we
a
were,
hard pass.
it was a hard pass.
Very nice, clean racing. It wasn't actually a hard pass. It was.
No, and
We're seeing some great flashing here from Apple. He's flashing his lights at Ninja.
he's known for doing that.
Is it mental games?
I think it
We
is.
don't know yet. In the meantime, Nielsen seems to just cut through all the traffic like a knife. And he's building up a bit more of a comfortable margin now to his teammate.
Yeah. Not having to do battle with anyone, just settling into a rhythm. It looks really comfortable for Nielsen. He's
Focusing on
just
how to deal with traffic and lining things up, having the space to hold up if you need to. That gives you a lot of mental freedom.
yes, exactly, and he can also begin to focus on his strategy and make sure that he's conserving his tires, that he's having the right fuel mix and everything to hit an optimal strategy for the rest of the race. I don't think that his early pit stop was part of that plan. I think he must have picked up some damage. I'm of course not sure, but I cannot.
I did wonder. I remember wondering during the race. I saw he was on mediums and he had a very early pit stop. So a bit of damage is very possible.
Exactly. And
But
with
what
the-
an amazing recovery he's had. And now we're looking at a very close battle here.
Look
developing.
at this.
Look at this pass he's doing on the inside.
Fantastic.
It's side by side,
Oh,
going
it's-
through one of the fastest corners on the track.
Amazing racing, and what defending from Joe. Just keeping a cool head, knowing absolutely, and he replacing CJ on the outside, not a chance. This is a guy who knows how to defend.
Looking very smooth and very respectful. He's gonna try to stay on the outside. He doesn't have the speed to stay there. Can he get a spot and try to dive on the inside? He holds off.
This is a very...
You see the master is just on the limit. It was sliding sideways on the braking there.
This might open the door for CJ, especially because he gets a better line through here, and this might...
He gets a bit of an oversteer, Joe. Did we have some contact there? It's so close. It's
this is very close. And then Nielsen comes for the traffic. This might be the chance. Oh, this is Joe under absolute...
Nielsen hits the wall.
Oh my. Nielsen hit the wall.
Somewhere in Japan, Mr. Master is shouting at the moment. I don't know if he's actually called Mr. Master, but we'll assume. Did he actually hit the wall? He keeps going. It doesn't look like he's had any damage. He was very far off though.
Oh, it does look like
like he's correcting for something, yeah.
Yeah. But what defending from Joe, that is absolutely stalwart defending.
Great piece of racing, I just saw that.
Fantastic racing this. And so great to see him being on the limit but still having so much respect. They're not giving an inch that they don't need to give, but they give the amount of space that they have to.
Yeah, definitely. And it looked very much like they were racing with intelligence. They knew what each other were going to do, and they gave each other the space to do it.
Indeed.
They were very, very, very elegant.
Indeed.
And now, darkness.